Good afternoon, guys. We are live from Mind the Bridge at the Startup Europe Comes to Silicon Valley 2018 kickoff event. We're very blessed and lucky to be here with Vice President Ansip. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
No problem. I hope you're enjoying the sunshine in San Francisco.
Sorry to say, but no much time to enjoy sun here in San Francisco.
Exactly.
Be there with meetings and
Indeed, you've been very
different
busy.
Events. Yeah.
Exactly. So I know we don't have a lot of time, so we'll kind of get straight into it. I saw on your Twitter feed that you've had a couple meetings with some big tech executives in the last 24 hours. You were with Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg at Facebook. You were with Sundar at Google, and I know you met with a few execs at Twitter and Netflix. How did those meetings go, and what was it like speaking to those tech leaders in Silicon Valley?
In those days, of course, I wanted to discuss about cybersecurity issues because I'm here because of RSA conference. But in fact, we discussed practically only about Cambridge Analytica case, and everybody is worried about this situation because people's trust is extremely important for all digital businesses. Yep. And we cannot say that this is just about Cambridge Analytica, or also Facebook was involved in this case. Practically all the businesses they involved somehow in this case, because if people they cannot trust those digital services, then they will never start to use them. And if they used those digital services and trust was eroded, then they can stop using those digital services. So we have a problem. Mm-hmm. We have to fix this problem. And we have to go on with digitalization.
Yeah. So talking about digitalization, one of your biggest pioneering initiatives has been moving Europe towards a digital single market. Obviously, there's lots of talk at the moment about the upcoming bill. How do you see GDPR playing a role in helping Europe becoming a digital single market?
Yes, digital single market is a real challenge for Europe, and especially for startups, because we know that more than 20 years ago we were able to create a single market in the European Union, and in physical meaning this single market was really beneficial for all the entrepreneurs, for all our people, for all the member states. But digital single market does not exist. Instead to have a huge single market with more than 500 million healthy customers, in fact, we have 28 relatively small markets in the European Union, and cost of non-Europe in digital meaning is huge, approximately 415 billion euros a year, and in fact we don't have this money. Message is clear: we have to create digital single market. This will be beneficial for everybody. For big global service providers, it will be beneficial for them also. They have enough funds to hire lawyers to understand about those 28 sets of regulations, but this is fragmented Europe is not a unique selling proposition for global service providers. They would like to be focused on quality of their services, and they don't want to deal with those different sets of rules. But for startups, it's a really crucial question, because they are practically not able to understand about those 28 sets of rules. And if we will continue with this fragmented Europe, then message we will send to our startups will be very simple: stay at home or go to the United States, where they have a single market with more than 300 million healthy customers. You mentioned General Data Protection Regulation. Protection of everybody's privacy is, of course, important for European people, but as we know about public opinion polls after Cambridge Analytica scandal, it's becoming more and more important also here in the United States of America. When we launched this proposal in Europe, then quite many companies they didn't like this proposal. But today, almost everybody says that this is a really good solution, because once again, instead to deal with 28 different data protection rules, there is just one set of rules, and it's much easier to understand about those rules. And I'm happy to hear that Facebook will implement this our general data protection regulation not only in Europe but globally. So it's becoming more and more important for our people to know that their privacy will be protected.
Yeah. And shifting the conversation to European startups and organizations and growth in Silicon Valley, the report we're talking about today has talked about the proliferation of EU bridge organizations in the Valley over the last half decade. Organizations like Mind the Bridge obviously play a critical role in that. What impact do you think that has on the European ecosystem from both the entrepreneurship and also policy perspective?
I think it's important to have fruitful cooperation between startup hubs we have in Europe and Silicon Valley. And both parties, they can benefit from this. Situation here in the United States, in meaning of European market, is pretty similar for startups as we have in Europe. If it's too complicated to scale up in Europe, then American startups, they prefer to act here or maybe in some other bigger markets, and for them it will be too complicated to understand about those 28 different sets of rules. But if there will be one set of rules, if there will be harmonized rules, then for startups from Silicon Valley it will be easier to enter into European markets. So I think this digital single market will be really beneficial for everybody. For European startups, they can scale up in Europe, and also for American startups, they can extend their activities also in some other continents in Europe.
There we go. And my final question: what are you most excited about? We've touched on GDPR. We've touched on European scale-ups moving to the US and US companies expanding in Europe. What are you most excited about in the next 3 to 5 years?
When we started as a new commission, then we launched the digital single market strategy. And we decided to take this step-by-step approach. Somebody says it's a salami approach, slice by slice. So I'm happy that finally we were able to abolish roaming surcharges in the European Union.
I'm a big fan of that.
Here in the United States, people, they don't remember about those roaming surcharges anymore. But in the European Union, we have a generation of people who knows how dangerous it is to use mobile devices when traveling in some other EU member states. Not anymore. Since June last year, people, they can enjoy this roam like at home everywhere when traveling in the European Union. Since this April, people, they can enjoy portability of their digital content. If they have access to digital content, to movies, TV series, music, e-books, audiobooks, football is important in one country, then when traveling in some other EU member states, they will also have access to this digital content. It seems very natural, but it happened just right now, since April this year. So in December, people they can enjoy business this Christmas shopping, not being afraid about rerouting, being blocked, discriminated against. We were able to abolish unjustified geo-blocking when talking about tangible goods and services bought online but consumed locally in some places. I think it's also a quite big achievement. In many areas we were able to reach consensus already. We were able to create harmonized rules for the whole Europe, but we are just on half of our way, and we have to continue with this process. But I'm quite sure very soon we will be much closer to digital single market in Europe, and it means also for startups that business environment in Europe will be much better than we had maybe 5 years ago.
Wonderful. Well, Vice President Ansip, thank you very much for your time. Really looking forward to having you here, and safe travels back to Europe.
Thank you. You're welcome.
See you soon, guys.